If you've ever placed multiple bets on the Kentucky Derby and then won $3,000 from them, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. In fact, if you've bet the Kentucky Derby at all and you finished with a bunch of ripped up tickets, you can still hit that like and subscribe button. Good morning, folks. Happy Monday. How about AB? That was insane. Sorry, we're starting a little bit late. We do have a lot of stuff to go. Let's get it. A lot of stuff to go through. It's a Monday. Come on.
Welcome to Benzinga Live Trading.
Let's see if this actually kind of comes back.
Way out of control, got way too high.
All right. Hey, I will take that. I will absolutely take that.
All right, folks, happy Monday. We are back. I hope that you had a great weekend, and what a pre-market prep show it was here today. Let's go ahead and get down to brass tacks. Bring on my main man, 13. 13, how are you doing today, dude?
Oh, good morning, everybody. I'm doing all right this morning. This is not bad at all. Great to see a lot of things up, things moving. Having a good morning so far. How about you?
I'm having a good morning, too. Did you place any Kentucky Derby bets? I don't think you're much of a sports bettor.
Well, I'm not a sports bettor with regard to horse races. I will absolutely get demolished by anybody I tried to talk about sports racing with, so not going to go there. For me, it's only football, so...
And don't let 13's modesty fool you. He's really good at fantasy football. He can win any league he joins. Okay. You know what, 13? I bet Chasing Freedom, as I was just saying in the pre-market prep chat, I bet horses based on the coolness of their name. And I thought Chasing Freedom was pretty cool. So I bet that, but didn't win. But that's okay. Had a great weekend anyway. Actually did better with my stock picks. I actually took Palantir calls for a swing last week. That's trading up here. We have earnings tonight on Palantir, so we'll see how we manage that position. That one's in my main account. Now, before we get started here, I do want to mention that our stream is sponsored by Trade the Pool. So if you need a prop firm, if you need help getting over 25K, if you just need more buying power to execute your strategy and start raking in those profits, check out Trade the Pool. They've got a great system for you to get that started. We love those guys over there. So, okay. Let's go ahead and get rolling here today. A couple of things to cover. I know we're kind of truncated here on time, about 18 minutes till we start. We will go through as much as we can. Good morning, everybody out there. We will go ahead and roll through some of the stocks that you want to take a look at right after this. Taking a look at the SPY here, we are currently trading up right around the 50-day moving average. Now, we did close at 511.29 last week, and I have the average line here at 511.62. So I'm going to say that we closed on the 50, but we didn't close over it. Looks like we're going to try and trade higher here today. So we'll see if the SPY ends up doing that. Now, the big thing that happened over the weekend is we had Berkshire Hathaway's investor meeting in Omaha. And to me, I'd love to hear what you folks think about that, if there's anything that you took away from that or anything like that. But the one thing that I took away from that was that they said that they had a record amount. Warren said that he had a record amount of cash, about $189 billion, and then went on to say that things really didn't look attractive to him. And obviously, he's more of a long-term investor. He's not doing the quick trades that we are. I'm just wondering if anyone else kind of took anything away from that. I've kind of been in a bearish sentiment. I've been waiting for the market to kind of come back in. And I took what Warren said as he's kind of waiting for the market to come back. Said is right at the end, he said, I hope that you all join us next year, and I hope that I join you next year. So despite his advanced age, he clearly isn't losing his sense of humor, and that is great to see. Okay. 13, any thoughts on the SPY? And I kind of teed you up there for the Berkshire Hathaway, if you have anything on that as well.
Well, there's a few thoughts that I had from what I read. I didn't watch the conference. I just read some highlights, and things he said about AI were interesting. But I agree. Potential for great things as well as a potential for great harm. Some of the things that had me worried about AI, he outlined as well. I was watching something very, very interesting to me. I'm sure you've heard of Unreal Engine. That's
yes.
So they've come out with new developments of that. So I'm starting to worry about not just folks being with their voices and their likeness being replicated with AI, but also environments now too. So it's just a little bit of a concern. But I understood his point. It was interesting that he wasn't really looking to pick up anything right now. I think he's just looking at the market as being a little bit overvalued in a lot of sectors, and he's just wants to see some more long-term opportunities arise. And I don't think he's seeing those right now because of the evaluations we're looking at.
Okay. Real good stuff there. Yeah, he did say regarding AI, he said AI scams are the next growth industry, which I thought was rather interesting. Okay. Did you have any thoughts on where we're at in the SPY or what you're looking for here today? We can move over to the movers tool when you're done.
The only thing I didn't really cover the SPY that much this morning. The only thing I noticed that we're trading above the 50-day SMA and the 512 level. So we'll see what happens when we open, but I'd be looking for those to hold. This is not going the direction that I expected. I'm still looking for a 10% correction in this market. We typically get one every year. Thought we were going to get that one as soon as we started hit the 5% level, but maybe we just need to wait a little bit longer. Should be good. I still think we're looking for more downside in the market.
Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at. So we'll see where the SPY finishes today. I'd love it actually if we gapped up a little bit and then maybe closed under that 50-day. That would kind of confirm what I'm already thinking. So we'll see if that materializes here, but we'll be open to what is in play. All right, let's take a look at the movers tool. We'll figure out what is gapping here, and that should help us build a short list here. I'm going to start with Hood. This wasn't on the gappers list, but this had a piece of news courtesy of Alyssa for bringing this to us while we were in the pre-show fist fight here. You can see Hood was drifting higher here to about an 1850 handle and then immediately sold off to 1650. We're resolving here right around 1750, which is right by where the VWAP is. The piece of news here is that the SEC has decided to issue a Wells notice for Robinhood. So from my understanding here, whenever they issue the Wells notice, that pretty much means they're going to go ahead with whatever litigation or investigation they need to do. So that's what's driving Robinhood here. I don't have any more details on it. I don't have any position in Robinhood, so I'm not necessarily worried, but that's what the piece of news is driving the price here. I really think that we'll learn more about this price action when the market opens, when the real volume pours in here. I think that this probably has some more downside here, but we'll see if that ends up going on. You got anything here on Hood?
Just that mention you were talking about with the Wells notice. We had talked about what other companies had been hit with Wells notices before, and that when they do, they almost always go forward with that litigation.
Yeah.
I asked some of our folks in Happy Hour if we recall any of those other tickers that we've traded where they've had a Wells notice before. That was SolarWinds, SWI, and Coinbase. They've also had Wells notices before. That happened last year with both those.
That was it. It was the coin. That's the one that I was trying to remember. Kudos to you, 13, for finding that one out. We did talk about that when that first happened. I remember that. Okay. So let's see what happens here with Hood. Let's keep moving here real quick. I know we are kind of short on time. Next one here we have is XBP. This is XBP Europe Holdings. The stock closed right around $2 on Friday. Here we are up 105%. Stocks testing 450. It's actually trying to break above 466 here. See if we're able to do that. The news going on here with XRBP is actually stale. This was from Thursday of last week, Thursday morning. They were awarded this $40 million $40 million multi-year contract for a nationwide transformation project for Her Majesty's Passport Office. So just that news seems a little stale here. This seems like some continuation, but the volume here is gigantic. So I think XBP might be in play here today. Looks like we have several levels here that we broke through. 290 is going to be one. We should also watch around 3, I think. 350 is going to be one. And then, like I said, we're really kind of holding this 420 to 465-ish range here in the pre-market. So we'll see what XBP does. You got anything here on XBP?
You covered most of it. The only other thing to add is that they have an 8.35 million share float, so this can get moved around pretty easily. The next upside target that I have, they hit 470, which is one target. Next one above that is going to be 555.
Okay, there you go, XBP. Next here we have PRFT. This is gapping up huge, up 53%. This is just a merger and acquisition, so I don't really think there's any other trade here. This is Perficient. The one thing that, I'm not familiar with this company, and part of my intraday due diligence here is going to kind of be to look through and see what this company does, see if there's any sympathy plays or peers. If you folks have any, I'd love to hear them. Again, I'm kind of at the initial stage here. I generally do this when there's a merger and acquisition. I'll look into it, ask my network, see if I can figure anything else about it, and then see if there's maybe more merger and acquisition potential down the road. I'm not there yet. So PRFT gapping up here. We'll see what other information we can uncover here. I assume you don't have much on this one.
No, I didn't even cover this one. This is moving much later than when I was covering these.
Yeah, and we'll, like I said, there requires some more DD here. I'm not really sure it's going to be open for a trade today. Anyway, next here is going to be ticker SGE. This is Strong Global Entertainment. Strong Global Entertainment shares are trading higher after FG Acquisition Corp announced a proposed acquisition of Strong MDI Screen Systems and the launch of Satire Holdings. Now, this popped as high as 240. It's really kind of bled back. We'll see if it can recapture the VWAP. This is a proposed acquisition, so this is not something that is for sure. Mm-hmm. And as a result, we will likely see some volatility on this, maybe some back and forth trading. So SGE, this seems to be on the list for today.
1.87 million share float. The interesting thing about this is that it looks like it's trying to take two different companies, combine them, and create a management company, and then they're creating the merger out of that. I haven't gotten through the entire filing that they did, but this is a little bit not your cut. This is like not your cut and dry, just acquisition. There's a bit of a combination happening here. Don't have an idea of what the share price would be, because there's going to be I think some shareholders of Strong Global are going to end up with the merged company shares. So I don't think this is going to be a cash result that SGE is going to get. So this is this is a little bit of a weird one. Trade it if you want. I don't know where this one goes. It's like you said, a proposed acquisition. It could be anything it wants until there's actually something definitive.
Okay, I'm actually going to skip ahead to here because these next two have news. I want to give it a little bit more time, but I definitely want to make sure we have enough time to mention this one because this was a big trader for us on Friday. This is ticker Beneficient. This obviously was the massive halt fest. We went from 2 to 13. We gave back a lot of that. It did pop here, but I want to just kind of caution everybody. We're using the VWAP as resistance. So first step here for a potential long trade would be a move through resistance or a move through VWAP, on volume, and then maybe hold it. We'll see if BenF gets going here today. Remember, it did pull back almost half of its impulse move, and it's kind of settling in here. So just something to keep in mind. Did you have anything on BenF, or should we talk about the new issues with the news here today?
Well, with this, they regained NASDAQ compliance. And what do you know? They did that shortly after they did a 1-for-80 reverse split on the 18th last month. So now their shares are back within the compliant range, and they have a 616,000 shares in the float. So this one could whip around pretty easily. Be careful in this one, but that's why it's up. They regained compliance.
Yeah, and if any of you did hold this from Friday, be sure to not let your gains evaporate in case this does roll over. Okay, the two next new issues here. First one's going to be TCBP. It says TC Biopharm Holdings. TC Biopharm shares are trading higher after the company announced the execution of a non-binding letter of intent to acquire a company pursuing the development of innovative CAR T therapies for the treatment of refractive cancers and solid tumors. Now, a couple of things here. The 13, I know that you dove into this one, but a couple of things here for me to start with. First of all, we've seen TCBP here before. In fact, I think we've traded this as a group when it was a penny stock long ago. This stock did come from low one, so about 150, just under 150. We popped as high as 3, but we've retraced almost all of that move, currently sitting down here at 187. And actually looks like if this breaks 180, we might even roll lower and completely round trip this. So keep this in mind. Now, on the other side, if we do catch a bid here out of the open, they've got the VWAP here at 230, and it looks like maybe if we hold this, we can bounce and maybe fill that area in there, and that would be a pretty decent trade. Now, as far as the catalyst goes, 13, what did you have on this one?
Well, they're acquiring a private company that specializes in CAR T cell therapy. According to the Form 8K that they filed, it looks like they're trying to pick it up for $20 million less any outstanding liabilities the company has. You look over at their financials, they don't have $20 million in cash. So I'd expect that in order to acquire this, they're going to have to come up with some money somewhere in the form of maybe a filing or an offering. So be careful with that. When you see that they're trying to pick something up they don't have the money for, that there's going to be an offering coming. They have 3.1 million shares in the float. They did a 1-for-20 reverse split back in December. That's what I've got on that one. I would just be quite cautious with this one because they need the cash if they're going to go through with that acquisition.
Okay. Really good stuff there, TCBP, and it looks like it's kind of what the market's waiting for here. So it looks like for a potential trade here, maybe 184, 180 on the downside, $2 on the upside. We'll see if it breaks out of that range and gives us a back test. Next one here was going to be Lilum, ticker LILM. Lilum shares are trading higher after the company announced an order of 20 jets from Urban Link. So this is a stock that was about $1 here, moving up towards 125. 13. This one wasn't on my radar, but it appears it was on your radar. What do you got with this going on?
I picked this up last week as a lottery ticket play. They have what's going on at this is that this is another eVTOL company out in I believe Germany. They have an air show coming up. There's a lot of big, not an air show, like an avionics trade show. A lot of big players there, Boeing, all the really big names. They're going to be in the innovation section, and this happens later on this month. I was just picking some up for a swing into that, that event, but because I was expecting that event's going to help garner interest. They're releasing their full scale model for this event. I think that's going to try to drive some orders, but apparently they already got some, and that's why it's moving up today. They picked up an order for at least 20, and we're seeing some movement. These their eVTOLs, by the way, are priced about $8 to $10 million a piece. So 20 of those, 200 million, not a bad price, not a bad pull there. Okay. Anyway, that's what I have with Lilium. They're it was just a lottery ticket, and apparently it's paying. So.
Okay, so far so good. All right, let's see what the chat wants to take a look at. Looks like Jane's trading XBP. Good luck, Jane. Lion Atlas, good morning. Happy Monday, Lion Atlas. You were mentioning GRR. This is ticker GRRR. Didn't really see a whole lot going on here. It has held since its move on Tuesday, but really, really low volume. We'll see if the 6 level falls here on GRRR. Let's see, what else did you folks want to take a look at? AMD and ARM up, ARM on CGC up. So AMD, it looks like some of those tech stocks here are up. AMD, one of those, ARM, one of those. We'll see if these hold here. This is, likely going to depend on how we do here today. Oh, one thing that I did want to mention real quick. I'm sorry I forgot about this. Someone asked me last week if I was still in PWP, and I said yes. On Friday here, we really kind of sold off. I think they had earnings. Yes, they did have earnings. I actually added on this drop in the low 13s, and here we are pretty much almost back up to balance. So yes, I'm still in this, and actually given the price action on Friday, I actually added to this and lowered my cost basis. So pretty decent move here. That is a swing in my main account, by the way. Remember, this was back on the Josh Gottheimer buy. All right, let's see what else you folks want to take a look at here. Lira, Rustam, good morning, Rustam. You were mentioning ticker LYRA. This is a 40-cent penny stock. Looks like that has fallen out of bed here. Sorry, Rustam. We're probably not going to take a look at that here today. CADL, mentioned by Lion Atlas. This thing, look at this staircase, man. This thing has continued to move. And actually, if we take a look at a 15-minute chart, remember when we really first started trading CADL, this is back at the beginning of April, we kind of came back in towards 450, held it. Now we're curling back up towards the top. So if this really gets rolling here, 1150, not out of the question for ticker CADL. This has given us multiple trades in the past, so keep an eye on this one. Good mention here, CADL.
I threw the link for eBase 2024. That's the show that we were just talking about with Lilium. If anybody's interested in that or wants to take a look, I just threw out some more information for you just out there, just to let you know.
All right, Soundhound holding right here about 450. We'll see if this can actually break higher here. Looks like 470, 475, your resistance area on Soundhound.
Ryan, it looks like the link didn't show up. I see it posted.
You can put it in the it's probably because I have to post it. Because go ahead and throw it. If you throw it in the there's a chat in here somewhere. Where is that?
We're about to
if you just give me the link some way, I'll share it with the group.
There you go.
All right, we are about to open. Let me go ahead and share 13's link here, and let's get it rolling. Let's have a good day here, folks. Best thing to do is to start Monday off on a good note here. Here you go. There's the link. We're going to flip over to the main workspace, and then I'm going to open up Trade the Pool here when we get rolling. Let me actually add it to the screen. All right, folks, we are open. Good luck out there. Good luck out there.
All right, what's going on first? What's going up? What's going down?
Ooh, Tyson looks like that had earnings here. That's dropping right out of the gate. That was drifting higher here on earnings. Looks like it's selling off now.
Yeah, I think they had a sales miss. I didn't look at the report yet, but it can do whatever it wants. My whole thing with that one is so far out that it can go up and down until I'm ready. SGE, that one's moving up to the 65 EMA on the 5-minute, also VWAP.
Yes, it is. And actually, Hood moving up here right out of the open on Hood. Palantir did come back to the VWAP. STFU, I know you were calling for maybe a pullback on that as Palantir is overheated. I hope that doesn't happen, but if it does, it does. Knifed right to the VWAP there on Palantir. Let me flip over to trade the pool here. I think it's this one. Yep, and then I think I do remove this. Yep, once you get it set, you're ready to roll. We just do this and this. Perfect. Okay, let's see what we can find here. So here's Hood. Let's see if it breaks 18. That gives us a back test. That would be ideal. Lynn and Randy, good morning. I am sorry about your Predators. Hopefully you were able to enjoy the weekend. I'll say this. I generally root against the Canucks as well because they've had some pretty big battles with the Blackhawks. Now we can do that together. So
SGE pushing through VWAP, trying to go higher. There's some consolidation from pre-market at about 195.
Right through that VWAP.
Yeah, 195 to about 205. There's going to be some consolidation there. You could see some resistance in that range there.
Neo going parabolic. Is that the case? Neo, big spike off the open here. Okay.
I heard that Neo might have some big moves off of that Chinese auto show.
Okay. Well, the first move here so far is up. We'll see if that holds here.
I'm just not sure. Sorry.
Hood, nope, all good. Hood struggling to going for that 18 right now. We'll see here on Hood.
So GRRR out of the gate had a nice big move up to VWAP. Here's the ones that are moving really, really well that we discussed. BENF with a nice move up through VWAP. ALLR pop, tried to get the VWAP, came back in, not there yet. We'll have to see if that one can get back up there. TCBP we also talked about. That one's just kind of going back and forth, whipping around. SGE so far has been the real big winner this morning. It is absolutely ripping right now. Going through 2. Pre-market high I have at 240. So looks like we could end up getting that high if they can make it through this consolidation from pre-market.
All right. IBRX getting mentioned here. This is from last week. Community Bio. This looks like this is trying to go higher. Remember, got like a double top there on the daily chart. So we'll see if that keeps moving. 13, your LILM so far doing a fairly good job. It looks like it pulled back to the VWAP, but held that. We'll see if that drops.
That was a good one, Crow. He's saying root back on root, which we all know what that means. That means it's doing the ripping things again.
Gotta love the dad jokes. 70, if that would be one of the levels to go back to, if it can really kind of sustain this bounce on root.
TCBP might be getting going here now. Upside target for now, we could at least consider the VWAP. But before that, I have it at about 215. We could see some resistance if we get through that, then VWAP. SGE now starting to come back in a little bit after reaching a high of 204.
Here is TCBP. Remember, we talked about this potentially moving back to the VWAP here, TCBP. Like we're getting that so far. Palantir continuing to sell off. That was a great call, STFU, right out of the gate. Still in the calls. Not going to let them go against me if this really starts to pull back, but want to stay in there, at least see if we get a move later on in the day. Tyson continuing to find lows here, 58.31 on the low print there. Apple also moving higher here. Looks like Apple just did a red-green move. It's up 20-some cents here.
Tyson is approaching its 50-day SMA. I have that at 57.70. So we're about $1 away from that.
So you think we might get some support there if it falls there?
That's going to be the next level of support that I'm looking for there. If we don't get that, then it'll be 55.73.
Okay.
And, when it comes to Tyson, those levels that I pointed out, those are some old levels too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've been charting Tyson for a long time.
We've
been charting Tyson for a long time. Netflix also at the highs here out of the gate. Amazon dipped a little bit. That put in a high on Friday, 187. It'd be interesting to see if that can get back there. ARDX, wasn't someone on this last week? Looks like ARDX popping here out of the gate. Volume a little bit low, but we did make a high here right around what, $9, not $9.15 or so. ARDX looks like it's going for that.
Can mention that BENF is halted. Thank you, Jay Summers.
Looks like that's a downside halt, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, this was the warrants. Sorry about that.
It just
Yeah.
got real nasty.
I was
Same
worried about
button.
that VWAP being resistance there, to be quite honest. Oops, I had the wrong screen on. Sorry about that. Here's BENF.
TCBP now almost at VWAP. So if you were looking to get a little bit of a trade there, you got
Here it is.
The VWAP. Now let's see if it can push through or not.
TCBP not in trade the pool there.
Yeah, it's trying to push through.
They're right to the VWAP. There it is. So there's your first trade. If you did take that one out of the gate here, this would be a first resistance area to lighten some of that. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. I was just saying 230, pretty good size wall, but the volume's not bad. So we could end up chewing through that. Just kind of watch to see what happens here. This is the one that could do the offering because they are acquiring that CART T-cell therapy company that's private.
XBP took a leg down out of the open here. Looks like it's trying to reclaim the VWAP. Sam saying, I'm not seeing much gappers that are trading well. Agreed. And this is one of the things with gappers. We've talked a lot about these being very risky. Sometimes they don't really produce anything out of the open. So far, that seems to be the case. We'll see if XBP can reclaim the VWAP here. That one looking a little tough. TCBP, this move to the VWAP, that was anticipated. But what happens next here? Looks like it's trying to build above.
Yeah, I agree. XBP, this one looks like it might be headed lower. For downside, I'd be looking at 335 and let's call it 265.
Baidu getting a mention here. That's trying to move higher.
SGE, a little bit of pullback to VWAP after that initial pop. This one could be setting up for another up move. So this one might take another 10 minutes or so to kind of form some kind of either a bull flag or bull pennant, something that consolidates up here after this move through VWAP. And if it can hold up here above these other moving averages, particularly the 65 EMA on the 5-minute, I think we will see that 240 we got in pre-market.
Sam says, Ryan, I found an awesome golf lessons video online. Awesome. Can you email me the link to that? EBS, Sally, good morning. Happy Monday. Hope you're doing well. Sally mentioning EBS. This was a big mover from last week. My chart is, for whatever reason, not resolving it. Let me see if I can bring it up in Pro.
Pro mentioning Sizu. This was a runner last week, looking for 11. We got it. Last week. We actually got more than that last week. We could get it again.
EBS here, we are breaking out of this sideways area that we kind of set up on Friday. Watch for those highs here from Thursday. That's at 477. That's absolutely doable today if EBS continues here. Good mention here, Sally. This is early. This is an interesting question here. I'll open this one up to the group here. Stock traders asking, anyone make anything of Shop and a firm reporting at the same time when Shop owns over 8% of a firm? I do not take much from that. Oftentimes companies in the same, kind of sector or business or somewhat related, they'll often report earnings around each other. I mean, just take a look at some of the big cap tech like Apple, Nvidia, and Meta and ARM and AMD and all of that stuff. They all report around the same area. So the fact that Shop owns some of a firm, I wouldn't necessarily tie that to the earnings print. But if anyone else has any information on that, would love to hear about that. I think that these two are going to trade independently, if just kind of being consistent. My whole thought here on a firm is buy now, pay later. Stuff is not desirable. Shop, that's not their whole business line. So I wouldn't necessarily tie those two things together here. EBS still holding here as it's breaking out of that sideways area.
XBP trying to recover.
That was a VWAP reclaim on X. Yeah, and it did it, and it's moving higher here. Awesome.
Right. I think your patience may be paying off for Palantir.
Let's take a look at Palantir here. Indeed, that little dip got bought. Looking at this chart here, this is common action on something that's gapping up here. Right, we kind of drifted higher here. Some people that with a quick trigger maybe taking some profits here, sell back down to the VWAP and another attempted move higher here. I'd actually really like to see this move above 25. My calls, by the way, are the 25 calls, so those enter the money if Palantir gets above 25. So far, so good. Palantir.
SGE with not a great looking candle here. It went right back down through 65 EMA, so did not hold that. Not looking for that formation anymore on that one. That's SGE.
Hood here. Oh, darn it. Hood did break out of this 18, and it looks like we actually did back test that pretty well. Did not take entry here. Hood maybe trying to go for those highs. That's on the backs of that Wells notice from the SEC.
Oh man, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do my swing idea with LILM. This thing is just kind of moving.
Is just moving too much?
It's moving too much. If it gets up to, I just didn't know what to expect from the air show or the trade show results. This is a lottery ticket, like I was mentioning earlier, but I'm up almost 25% in this, and I'm thinking maybe I should just take this off the table because was a gamble to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, so I think that you said in the outset there that it was a lottery position. So I'm guessing that you sized accordingly and probably don't feel great about selling partial of that.
I made one buy order. I had it filled, and that was it. I haven't averaged in or anything. I just was waiting for that news later this month to happen. This happened sooner. It's moving. It's beating my expectations. So I may as well just kind of get out. So
here's what I'll say. From what I understand, this has to do kind of with the whole Archer, like the eVTOL stuff, right?
They're in the same space, but it's just on the show, on that trade show.
Okay, so
they were going to getting more orders. Yeah,
that's helpful. We've seen a lot of these smaller stocks make huge moves and then give it all back. So 13, I think your idea of maybe collecting the gains. I mean, worst case scenario, if this comes back in, maybe you'll have another opportunity to swing it. I don't know. It's a good problem to have when you're up, as opposed to the stock being down. I'll say that.
Problem of when to take profits. Gosh. No, that it's just, the whole trade idea that I had for this isn't working out. It's working out better, but it's just not working out the way I had planned. So now I have to rethink this. Am I going to, start taking profit now, seeing as how I'm up more than I thought I would be? Sure, I'll just do that. Why not pay myself and take the risk off the table or take the gains off the table? If it comes back in down to $1, well, I can just
use some of your profits to reload it. Exactly. Real quickly here, TCBP, I cannot pull this up and trade the pool, so I'll keep doing it in pro. You can see this moving towards those pre-market highs. This was a great trade right out of this range. Great trade right out of this range if you took it. At this point, we're up 83 cents from that $2 handle. I got to think at least some of this was peeled off to pay yourself on the way up. Looks like market here moving up with this, by the way. Halt 283 TCBP. TCBP halted.
EBS also moving up out of the gate here, putting in some not so great upper shadows, but it's still got 3 green candles in a row here and above VWAP. So if it holds above here, great, but I don't know what it's going to do. But VWAP I have at about 405.
Look at Mara. Good call here, Sally. Mara above its pre-market highs. Bitcoin had kind of an interesting weekend. I saw as of this morning, 66K on the high. We've really kind of pulled back from that down to about 64.5. But Mara showing a lot of strength here this morning. Peloton got a squawk there. This is not one that I trade, but I know that Peloton likes to move on news here. Watch for Peloton to have its Friday intraday highs taken out here on Peloton. Becca mentioning OM. That's several mentions here by Becca on OM. This looks like this is moving here as well. Earnings in 2 days here on OM. This is Outset Medical. I'm not sure what they do here. Looks like we had Tableau cart with proliferation receives FDA clearance. Okay, so FDA clearance here on ticker OM. That is moving here, Bex.
Now that's interesting, J. Rice. Thank you. First earnings since IPO. Let's take a look.
What we got? Any thoughts on this? J13, really anyone trading these chips? The other J, I know you guys taking a look at this. Crow, I think you traded this around the IPO, didn't you? Palantir new highs. ALAB has options. And their earnings. So is this confirmed for tomorrow? It says their conference calls tomorrow.
It says their conference calls tomorrow.
Yeah, earnings is tomorrow. Yeah. So it looks like okay. Thanks, Jay.
So let's okay. Gosh, this is going to be a weird one. I think I would be looking for this one to break out of this consolidation. So that could mean either direction. It would mean if it's bad, the market doesn't like it, we're going under 60 possibly. If the market likes what it sees or is what it's being told with their earnings, and that I think we break out over 90.
Yeah, and I think if there's any type of exuberance, that might be something that moves towards 100 if that can really kind of get rolling.
BENF open. Thank you, Wiss. Not great volume in that one right now. Maybe that changes. So Palantir had a pre-market high of 24.91, and we're kind of making our way up to that. So if we get up there, we could see some selling.
A-Lab, I'll trim the stock, perhaps buy some options before the print. Okay, so trim some of it, book some of the gains, use profit to expose yourself through some options ahead of the print. That seems like a really good strategy, Jay. Really good strategy there. Okay, I'm going to flip back over to trade the pool here and see if we can get positioned. Let's check in on Hood and see how that's doing. Looks like this is maybe coming back towards that 18. Jim offering you some encouragement here on your position. Joe, if you feel it was a lottery, pay yourself. Stay objective. Go with your gut before you can't go with your gut. Jim, I can appreciate that. There have been a number of times where I've taken kind of a small lottery. It's moved in my favor, and I've been like, I can hold this, and then I give it all back. I'm with you on that one.
No, that's great, and I do appreciate that. There are some rules I have in place about when something that doesn't go as planned goes on a run, and I hit a certain point in that run where I'm just like, well, I have to take this off the table or some of it off the table per my rule. So that's a little bit of what I'm executing here too, is that I'm trying to be good about the rules. It ran more than I was expecting. That's a trigger for me to just try to take some profit. But no, I appreciate what you're saying, and I'm still holding some.
SGE on a potential VWAP reclaim here on SGE. This is the second time it's tried to break the VWAP. By the way, someone mentioned Tesla earlier. I was in the middle of flipping through stuff. I'm sorry I didn't go to it. Tesla here, a big move out of the gate and a big move out of that sideways area from the pre-market, going towards that 187 mark that I have marked off here. We'll see on Tesla. This looks really, really strong here.
Well, let's even get to 194. I think that's the next upside target that I have.
Really quickly, just to add to that, NEO holding its strength here, although it's pulling back to the VWAP. Sorry, what was the level that you had there on Tesla 13? I apologize.
194. It's it's like $7 away, $7 away.
Jay, I like this. We'll talk about Abercrombie here in a sec. You were saying CCG earnings were poor, but the dip got bought. Generally speaking, that's a pretty good sign here. CCJ looking like it's going to retake 50 here. I'm with you on that. I like that. Also, you were mentioning ANF. Looks like that dip was also bought. Is that continuing to move towards the highs? Who would have thought? BenF crashing, says Aramis.
Yeah, it's
yeah, that's another downside halt there. I told you, I warned you at the beginning here. Be careful on BenF. Okay, now you guys are also mentioning TCBP, which is of course not in Trade the Pool. So let's bring it up here in Pro and see what TCBP is doing. Here we go. 3 tests coming here. This is going to be that pre-market high. Let's see if it ends up taking that out here. EBS still going, Sally. EBS, let's slow grind up. Watch for a 5 test on EBS. AGBA getting mentioned. AGBA. Oh, wow. That was one from last week. Good call, Gerald. Sorry if this was rolling earlier and I stayed away from it. This nice move off the VWAP. This expanding volume here. Really, really good for a trade. Boy, a lot of stuff going on. Feel like I'm a little slow here now.
EBS still, making green candles with rather unappealing top wicks.
Sally, do you have the Monday money dance going? Just wondering, because the EBS has moved straight up here.
What does that money dance even look like?
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, it's whatever. I'll tell you what. When things, I mean, you do all sorts of stupid stuff. I do anyway. When I have a position or several positions and Monday starts out with like the way that I'm hoping for, it generally sets the stage for the week. I'm talking trader psychology here, more specifically my own psychology. I feel like if Monday moves in my favor, I'm better positioned for the rest of the week. Maybe that's just a personality thing. By the way, AGBA here going for new highs, 369 your high here. Looks like that might try to break. Sally says she does have the Monday money dance going. Let's go, Sally. Book those gains. All right, good stuff. AMD up. What else are you folks looking at? I'm enjoying BCRX. I'm just going to roll through some of these. Some of these that you guys are mentioning, not on the relative volume scanner. Looks like the volume might not be high enough. Now, BCRX Q1 results here. This actually resolving higher here. This looking pretty good. HIMS on the scanner here. We've traded this one before.
I forgot to talk about one that we've been discussing, for a while. Remember AV?
Yeah.
I was talking about this one when it was under 150, and it's
171.
It's just been an absolute winner. This is the sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say AGBA new highs.
This is the winner for drones when it comes to U.S. government contracts. This is the company. I do have some. Oh, SGE is halted now. That's wow.
Yep, halted to the upside. Power move there, right to the top end of the pre-market and after hours range from Friday.
240 is the pre-market high. It looks like it's 18 cents away from getting it. So I think I'm going to just go out on a limb and say it's going to get it.
AMGN being mentioned by Jay. What's going on with AMGN here? Down almost 3%. So it looks like this had the earnings there. This was earnings on Friday, wasn't it? Let me just confirm that real quick. Friday. Yeah, and they got a whole bunch of re-ratings. Yeah, that was earnings on Thursday evening and then some re-ratings here on Friday. Jay here mentioning down 9%. I think from the earnings is what you meant there. Guess who chased it on Friday? The Woodster. I don't know who the Woodster is. It's not going well for them, at least not at the moment.
Yeah, Carmen, this is actually a great bounce off this selling that happened last week. 3 ugly down days. Finally get some support here from 105 and RCAT. So now we're bouncing off of that. So this looks like this is what you're playing. Was it like kind of a bounce play, or what was the thought here? Because this is a really good call.
Nuvo rolling here. This also not in Trade the Pool. Boy, a lot of these names here not in Trade the Pool this morning. I'm not used to that. All right. Nuvo running to 4 here. Good stuff for any of you that took this one. Sorry, I didn't flip to this one. By the way, we got a first pull there, AGBA. Nice, Hutchie. Grab your cash early and bounce. Good stuff.
That's right. Oh, okay.
Nuvo really getting going here. Tyson, that sell-off might be done here. Tyson down 8% here, $57. Looks like it's trying to round off the bottom on Tyson.
Wow, what a fall.
XBP really struggling to get above that VWAP. OM, this mentioned from earlier, holding 4 now.
50 cents away from my my level that I had there with Tyson.
Mullen going higher. Good luck on that one.
A-Lab still cranking.
I'm going to flip back to Trade the Pool here.
Sizu looks like it's setting up to go higher.
Nuvo halted. BlackBerry randomly moving. That's 13. I know you watch BlackBerry occasionally. This is moving just a little bit. Volume's a little low there. AGBA looks like that's trying to go higher here now on AGBA. New highs here. DXYZ, that's that ETF. Is that curling? Looks like it. Maybe we're curling off the bottom here a little bit. Interesting Monday here, folks.
Yeah, it is.
NRXP going higher here. I feel like the stuff that's moving, I feel like I'm a little bit behind for entry. Let's check back in on Hood. Okay, so it looks like the Hood is trying to hold 18 here.
EBS now through 430.
Palantir new highs. We're still working on that one. ARM here, that dip continuing to get bought too. That was a nice dip by there, Jay. AGBA, more highs here, 390. Looks like that thing's going to 4. That thing's parabolic right now. I would be really careful on AGBA. This thing really needs a pullback for new entry. You should be selling at this point, I think, if you're in this for a trade instead of buying here. That's just me, though.
Mullen's getting mentioned. All
Yeah,
right.
here
Let's go
is.
see what's going on with Mullen.
It's up 15% here today, Mullen. I'm not going to be suckered into that one. Not on Monday. We're not ruining a good Monday here.
If it can hold up here above VWAP, you might see more than 490. Not sure where it goes. Not going to
Wide open west, looking like this is going to try to continue. We talked about this a little bit on Friday. Ticker WOW. Sound, you guys, I see several people have mentioned Sound here. That looked like that was, oh my God, power move right out of that consolidation out of the gate. I've got 552 as your 50-day moving average. That's only 60 cents away about. Costco, did you do your shopping? Yes, I did. And by the way, Sam, I figured out what I'm going to do. You guys might think this is a little bit silly, but I struggle. I think I've told you guys before. I struggle a lot when I talk about adding Costco on weakness all the time. And then when Costco sells off, I end up not buying it. And then it comes back and I think to myself, you're an idiot. You should have bought that when you were talking about it. So what I've started to do is on days where it's weak, I've started to add one share at a time. Now, I know that might seem stupid to some of you. Costco is $700 per share, but I add one share at a time. That way, it forces me to buy some of those when it's down. And on days like today, when it's ripping, I no longer say to myself, Ryan, you stupid idiot, you should have bought that before. Because even if it's only one share, hey, at least I bought that one share. So I'm okay with Costco here, and I did do my shopping. It was a small trip this weekend, though, so I don't think I'm the catalyst. Costco does look like it wants to move higher here.
How much longer do we have in the SGE halt?
Jay, this is super rich, and I love you. In fact, I wish you're going to get a one up. I don't know what other sound to play here. Jay says, I'm waiting for the next reverse split before I really go in big. Oh, I can appreciate that. As someone that's lost money trading that junk before, I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that, Jay. Really good stuff here. Palantir still holding at those new highs here. TCBP still holding that 230 area.
2491 is a pre-market high in PLTR.
Is that still moving up here? Yes, sure. New highs. Let's go, dude. Wolf holding higher. This is Terra Wolf. It's actually, if you look at the daily chart here, I think what I like to see, these consecutive higher lows on these pullbacks, right? So it trades up and then it pulls back and it trades up and it pulls back and it continues to make higher lows. Pretty good pattern right there, if you will. Palantir has gas, the good kind. Let's go higher here on Palantir. Tyson does look like that is still continuing its curl. Tesla, by the way, you folks that are on Tesla here, looks like new high here on Tesla. Let me check in on Hood real quick. So Hood looks like it did come back to that 18 level and bounced a little bit. Boy, I think I had that range figured out there. ARM holding higher. Big knife now on AGBA. Like I was just saying, man. I was just saying, folks, this really needs a pullback before any new long type of entry. Here we go on that pullback. Looks like I have some candles being drawn improperly here, so I have a substantially different VWAP and trade the pool. I've got the VWAP here at about 374 on AGBA, so about 10 cents below where we're currently at.
ALLR all the way back to $1 now.
Wow. Almost a total round trip there. Glad we didn't get caught on that one. Carvana, like Alexander the Great. This thing's wild. This thing's absolutely wild. Look at this move here on Carvana. You know, we had a guy in happy hour months ago. This might have even been a half a year ago at this point, 6-7 months. Carvana, I think, was in a $40, $50 range, something like that. Let's see. It was right in here, right? Yeah, 40. Yep. This is maybe earlier this year. He said, you know, Carvana might go to 80 or 100. And I was kind of like, wow, I know it's got a lot of short interest, but that would be some type of squeeze if it really does that. And here we are, Carvana 130. That was a monster call by that guy that I didn't take.
TCBP might be finding a bottom. Waiting to see if that's what's happening here.
I did a little research on ITA names. Despite owning Boeing, has done well. Some names: RTX, WWD, CW, HWM, HEI, ASPN, FTIA. Let us know what you find out of there, Jay. I'm actually going to copy your list real quick and do some of my own looking into that. But appreciate this. I always like knowing what people are looking at, especially ahead of the trade. I feel like that could be really helpful, especially if you're doing some due diligence research along the way. By the way, hood calls I see getting bought. This is actually the second and third. Not a whole lot there, I guess. Yeah, they're cheapies, but they're only about 40K on that position. They were aggressive, but they weren't huge in size. Tesla's still trying to break out to new highs. We'll see if it does that.
Looks like TCBP is either going to be done or it's just trying to find a bottom here.
Let me bring that up on my other screen so I can give us the visual aid.
EBS finally with some pullback here, looking for 430 to give support. If not, then VWAP. AGBA, wow, what a pull. It's just fallen. Just absolutely slaughtering everybody that was in it above 350.
And TCBP, huge pull too. Here is that pull. That looks like that double top at 3 cent lower here, down 80 cents from that double top. Lunar getting mentioned here, it looks like. Let me flip over to Lunar.
And EBS as well. Oh, I was just mentioning that was the pullback. Root still sideways this morning.
Lunar is going higher here, folks.
Oh, look at that. We're getting some lunar activity. How about that?
How about that?
We talk about it every day, so why not mention it today? DJT with a move. It sold off out of the gate down to about 45.50, and now it's ripping again. We're at 48, almost 48.50.
All right, folks, it is 10 o'clock on Monday, so you know what that means. We have special guest and friend of the show, Matt Malley, joining us. Matt, how you doing this morning? Happy Monday.
Well, I tell you, it's we got the Celtics won last week, and the Bruins won the 7th game in overtime. So things are going good up here in the Boston area.
I got to say, Matt, that game 7 was probably the highlight of the weekend for me. That was a tremendous hockey game from start to finish. It felt like I was on the edge of my seat the entire game. Did you have any big Kentucky Derby wins?
I didn't. I watched it. It was so much fun to watch. But it's funny. The thing that's really crazy, my mother, God rest her soul, she passed away a few years ago at ripe old age of 89. But she went to a Kentucky Derby party every year for like 40 years. And my dad said she won every year, not a lot of money, it was all small bets. And she always bet because the jockey's last name was the same name as her next door neighbor when she was 10 years old. It was just ridiculous.
Hey, I love systems like that. Look, I'm no stranger to that. I bet horses that have cool names. I went after Chasing Freedom this time. It didn't work out. Okay, Matt, it's great to have you back here. Look, since we talked last time, the market really kind of moved down, but it looks like it really kind of caught a bid. Is there anything that you've noticed from the recent Fed meeting and any of that where we're kind of at here with the SPY? What do you think going forward here as our next move?
Well, it's going to be real important what happens, I think, this week or the next week or so. There's no question that the news from last week, we had the combination of both Apple Computer reporting some good guidance and I'm sorry, earnings guidance and, of course, the buyback. And then Thursday night and then Friday morning, of course, the employment number. That gave us a real nice boost yesterday on Friday. But the internals still aren't all that good. We need to see them get a little bit better. Yes, breadth was positive on Friday, but not spectacularly so at all. And volume was a little bit better, but not what you really like to see when things are really going to turn around. Just because we didn't get that on Friday doesn't mean we won't get it this week. But, again, we're pushing above that 50-day moving average that a lot of people are focused on as a key resistance. That's bullish, but you need to see it pull away from that, a little move above it. And I'll tell you, the thing that I'm really focused on is Apple, but the tech stocks overall. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that the tech stocks have done nothing. You look at the XLK ETF, the technology ETF, it's standing at the same level it was in late January. It's traded in the sideways range for a while now. And the thing that gets me so much, and I didn't mean to ramble on here, but the stocks that have reported poor earnings and poor guidance have gone down and stayed down. Meta, Intel, Advanced Micro Devices, although they're all trying to bounce back a little bit. But the ones that have reported real good earnings haven't seen any follow through. I mean, Microsoft rallied nicely, then gave back all of their gains. It rallied nicely for one day. Google rallied nicely for one day, gave back 2/3 of its gains. Both of them, again, have bounced back a little bit, but they're not pushing up and getting that upside follow through. And again, we're seeing Apple today. It's pulling back a little bit, not a major downturn, but it just tells me between that sideways action and that lack of real enthusiasm following these earnings reports that I wonder, if we're going to get the nice big rally we got last spring and summer in the tech group. So that's something I'm really focused on. In the next week or so, should tell us a lot in that way.
That's a really good point. No rambling there. That's all valuable information. Our group, one of the things that we've been saying to look out for in this market is that when companies report good earnings or even get upgrades and then don't have that follow through, that can be notable that maybe this is kind of the end of the run or things are a little bit heavier or it's going to need something else to get it above that. A couple of earnings here since we're on the subject. We're going to have Palantir here tonight. Maybe there will be an AI surprise in there. I'm not sure what your feelings are on Palantir or AI in general. And then we're going to have Disney tomorrow morning. Not sure what your feelings are on Disney. So any thoughts on either of those? And then I got a question about Berkshire's investor conference this weekend that just passed.
Right. Sure. First of all, on Palantir, I mean, I love the company longer term. I mean, I hate to say it, the world's not getting any safer. And they are, it's not just AI, but it's an AI play in the defense industry. And it's kind of funny because they talk a lot about how we're trying to broaden out away from our government contracts and our defense industry contracts. And that's good. But the fact that they are in that is still good too. I don't think there's a real need for them to talk about that so much. I think that people saw that as a negative. I wish I could say it was a negative. It's not. The world's not getting safer. And I think that that's positive for them. Number one, the stock's up like 4 or 5% this morning. So people are really expecting these numbers to be good. So I'd be a little careful about chasing it on a short-term basis. But longer term, I love the stock. If you own it, do not sell it just because it's up a little bit. I do expect good earnings out of there. If it gets a pump up higher, it may need to back and fill a little bit. And of course, if you're playing in the options market, the day any company reports, the market makers, make those options very, very expensive. So you got to be very careful about making a bullish bet on Palantir right now in the options market. But I think it's okay to buy the stock. I think you might get another opportunity to buy it. There'll be a dip at some point here, and I feel. And
actually, that's a really good point, Matt. And I should have mentioned that. I actually did take some calls, but I took them last week, and I took them last week knowing that, hey, Ryan, if you wait till that day of earnings, you're going to have those premiums inflated. So that's actually working in my favor. We'll see where this goes. I too am bullish Palantir on the long term. Just as kind of an aside, one of the hobbies that I do, I like to listen to retired military and intelligence people talk about their experience. I am noticing that unprompted, they are starting to mention Palantir in some of the things that they're saying. So just a piece of due diligence that I do on my own. I did want to ask you about Disney. That is a very, very popular stock. They're, of course, going to be reporting earnings tomorrow morning. Disney's been, kind of back and forth here. Do you have any thoughts here on Disney for our group that follows it?
Well, it was funny back in was the very beginning of the year when everybody hated the stock. I turned very bullish on it and morphed because it just against sentiment and technical reasons. It was pushing up against a resistance level, and you couldn't go more than 2 days without reading an article about how badly Disney has been doing over the last year or so, and how Eisner was just lost his touch and all this other stuff. So with all that negative sentiment and the stock being oversold and finally looking to bounce up, I turn positive. Right now, I think it's fine. I'm just a little worried about what we heard last week about the consumer from McDonald's, Starbucks, and some of these others. We've been hearing for a while now about credit card levels and credit card delinquencies and stuff. Are we going to hear that the consumer is fine? We've been hearing about I've even been talking about some of the cracks in the consumer for a year, but they keep on spending. Are some of these other things. So I'm not chasing the stock right now after the nice rally it's had over the last several months. I'm going to wait and see what happens with these earnings. But I do, again, longer term, I just think the stock got beaten down way too much. Betting against Eisner is not going to win a game over the years. So,
Iger has absolutely been down.
Eisner was the old guy. Iger, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
no, and they're very close. I mean, they set you up for that one. I'm with you there. By the way, Disney here right at that 50-day. Okay, Matt, I'm going to get you here out on this. We had the Berkshire Hathaway Investors Conference over the weekend. And one of the things that I was saying earlier is that the two things that were notable, well, there were three things that were notable that came out of that for me. Number one, he said that Berkshire has a record amount of cash, about $189 billion, sitting on the sidelines, doesn't see really anything attractive. And as a result, he's waiting. Now, my view on the market is that, fundamentals and valuations are kind of out of whack right now. And I want to see that come into line. Maybe Berkshire kind of sees the same thing and waiting for a repricing in some of these assets. Does that scan?
Yeah, I think it's totally. You're spot on with that, Ryan.
Okay.
I mean, he has had high levels of cash for a while, but he keeps raising them, and he's very well. He's like, I'm not trying to predict the economy. I'm not trying to pick the stock market. I'm just looking at companies, and they're not cheap. But I mean, you own Apple. I know they said he spoke really positively about Apple, but you don't sell a nice chunk of Apple. He loves the company. But what does he think about the price? And it's like it's gonna be his biggest position, all that stuff. That's a call on the market. I know he says he's not making a call on the market, but that's a call on the market to say stock's too expensive now. I can buy back more shares at a lower price. And if Apple's going down, I know Apple's has not been, its correlation with the market has fallen off a little bit. But if Apple's going to pull back, the market's going to pull back. You don't walk around with hordes of cash, the smartest investor in the world, if you think the market's going to rally over the next 6 months as much as it did the last 6 months.
Totally. That's exactly my read on it. Okay, awesome. So the other thing that he said there was he said a comment that AI scams might be the next big growth industry. So how are you, given what AI has done for companies like NVIDIA, how are you kind of looking at AI, making sure I don't want to get trapped in anything that's going to be a scam or anything like that? How are you separating the good from the bad with AI?
Well, it's that's a hard one to play, and it's a scary thought. But it's something that's very, very important to keep an eye on. I mean, especially in the military area. And to be honest with you, if Palantir didn't have such a brilliant CEO, I'd be worried about that stuff. I mean, because if you get some people starting to say, "Oh God, we shot off nuclear bombs," and everybody starts panicking, that's a big problem. Thankfully, they have one of the smartest guys in the world running that company. So you do need to be a little bit careful there. But to go out and say which companies do you need to be buying in that kind of protection, I don't have the answer to that. What I do say, though, is that we have some of these stocks where, I mean, we just start, I'll just take real quickly just to say two things. Number one, we're still only seeing the only people that are making money right now are the ones who make the picks and the shovels. Okay. The guys who are making the chips, the end users or the buyers of those chips haven't seen their earnings pick up yet. Well, is this going to be a problem with the whole thing with all the stuff that Warren Buffett is talking about? But the other side of it with the AI is we're hearing a lot about energy and how can energy, some people are buying certain utilities because they're going to have to spend all this increase in energy where these AI developers are going to be making all these chips, et cetera. It's going to be a big. What about natural gas? Natural gas is beaten down in a big way. If the energy that's going to be needed from natural gas, we all want to get rid of fossil fuels. Fossil fuels aren't going away soon. Okay, it's going to be a couple of decades. Look at how badly natural gas is beaten down. Natural gas is just starting to look like it's trying to make a comeback here. Look at stocks with that natural gas, CHK, Chesapeake, Cheniere, things like that are the ones that have been beaten up. EQT is another one, but it's not as beaten up as much. But look at those kind of plays. Look at a little bit differently here. Well, why not look at the stocks that are beaten down rather than trying to chase the stocks that are up so much, like the ones that you because of the fears that you just mentioned.
Okay. And real quick, I know we just talked about AI, just kind of want to gauge the temperature here. Do you like NVIDIA? Is that one of the stocks that just maybe gone too far, too fast, or overall are you generally pretty positive on it?
Well, I'm certainly positive on a long-term basis. So if you own the stock, I wouldn't sell it, and it could go down. I mean, it's already seen 3 declines of more than 10%. One was in one day. So I'm a little bit nervous. I mean, the one thing is, I just remember last year in May we had really good earnings, and the stock just took off. Well, guess what happened in August? They reported just as good earnings, and yet interest rates were much higher. The stock was much higher and more expensive, and the stock went down 20%, even though their earnings were just as good. So I'm just worried that, interest rates now, they've come down a little bit from their highs, and people are making all excited. Well, we're not at 2.6%, so we're just below 2.5%. We're still, those long-term interest rates are still higher than any other time over the last 17 years, except for 5 months last October, and just a little before October, a little through October and into November. I mean, tiny period. We have high interest rates. It creates problems for some of these tech stocks to do a lot better. So the thing is, on the technical level, if it breaks above its highs from this spring, it's going to take off again. The momentum will be really good, but just be a little bit careful here because we have that situation where the whole tech group money isn't flowing into it like it had been before, and we still have interest rates that are on the high side of history. So I'm a little bit more cautious near term, but love it long term.
Okay, awesome stuff there. The last thing that Warren said there was he hopes that everyone comes back next year, and of course he hopes that he comes back next year. So even in his advanced age, he's clearly not losing his sense of humor. That was notable to me as well. Matt, I cannot thank you enough. This was awesome stuff here today. Happy Monday. Really appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you again.
Sounds great. Thanks, Ryan. Take care.
Take care of yourself, Matt. All right, folks, that is Matt Malley. Smash up the like. That is absolutely awesome. Matt's been doing this for a long time. And if you want to see more of Matt's commentary on the market, head over to our research site. I went ahead and threw that link in the chat. He is as sharp as a tack, and he's constantly watching what's going on. We're lucky to have him. So thanks very much, Matt. Okay, while I was doing that, 13, update us on the smaller movers here. What on earth is going on?
Well, Mullen continues to rip. RCAT sideways. A Lab might have found the bottom. EBS still going higher. We're about to get an EMA crossing with that one. That one definitely watch for a move up to 475. CZU sideways, looking to see if that one can get to 11 today. BENF bleeding. Lilium, the lottery ticket I talked about, kind of deciding if it's going to hang out here or go lower. Looks like it's going lower. Palantir hit a high of 25.08, coming back in a little bit. GRRR still trying to go for that 640 from the pre-market, just moving very slowly. And let's see, XBP, that one seems to be slowing down. Might have found some support from the 65 EMA on the 5-minute. Could be curling on that one. Look for a return to VWAP. And then ALLR, this thing is pretty much dying.
Okay, well, that was a super fast recap.
There's two more. TCBP, that one is trying to turn around here and retake VWAP to go higher. And then SGE is putting in a bit of a bull flag, but if it can't get support from VWAP, then I'd be looking for this to go down to probably the 180s.
Looks like I bit off a little bit more than I can chew there, asking for you to recap that awesome stuff across the board here. SGE, we'll see if this comes back into the VWAP. How's Hood doing with that Wells notice? So Hood actually holding here, pretty much closed the gap about flat. Really, I guess up 30 cents here, about flat though on Hood. Okay. Sam.
Yeah. So anyway, Root. No,
that was well done there, Sam. Well done for sure. Okay. Let's see what else we're doing. Honestly, main account here is cooking here today, so that is pretty good. Tesla, that was notable here to me anyway. Tesla starting to reverse off that 187 level. This has been volatile today. I think this might not be it here for Tesla. OM, that looks like it's pushing 5 here, so that actually broke above 5. Becca, I got to tell you, man, OM. This was a monster. You were on this early off that little bit of volume expansion and that pop through VWAP. This has now continued over an entire $1 here on OM.
Somebody asked what's going on with Nuvo NUVO. This is a recent IPO. I'm sure it's just making IPO moves right now. I don't think there's anything significant that's driving this other than, hey, it's on the market now and let's trade it.
I can't pull up Nuvo in here. Let me pull it up on the other screen here. We'll give you that Nuvo, Nuvo. Boom, boom. Here you go. Oh, that is ripping here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so looking at the market here, it looks like we did get that impulse move. We've kind of slowed down here. Now, SPY's holding higher. The NASDAQ pulled back a little bit. Dow's kind of flagging in here. Nothing really to worry about, but if that continues to roll over, that might be notable. Nuvo. Let's go back here.
SGE coming down to VWAP. So that's going to be where I think that's going to find support. And if not, then it would be going down to that demand zone that we created in after hours and pre-market, which is under 2.
That VWAP bounce coming right here. Looks like we are on deck here for that. We are on deck here for that.
How's Palantir working out for you?
Palantir, I mean, that's still really good. I mean, those calls are rocking here. I haven't closed any. I would shave some on the next push up here, but so far so good. Holding in here. Right now, this little pullback here has us settling right above VWAP on Palantir. So that's going to be something to watch here. This actually might gear up for another move towards the top. How's Mara doing? Ivan is saying Mara through earnings. So Mara here ripping. And again, we were talked about Bitcoin kind of being, having a wild weekend here. It is actually trading up from the lows here this morning. On Mara here, we have earnings after market on May 9th. So May 9th is what? Thursday. So you're going to have Mara earnings later this week on Thursday after hours. I'll be honest, Ivan, I am not going to hold this through the print. I don't have any position on this right now. But I wouldn't necessarily be looking to trade Mara through the print. Mara has provided excellent trades for our group here, both leading into the print and then after the print, depending on what goes on there. So I'm interested in the Mara earnings, but I don't have a position going into that. And I'll be honest, on this run up here, let's see where we're at on Thursday morning, but this has me a little nervous. Some of the stocks that have really kind of run into earnings end up getting hit. Again, here with the Bitcoin halving, I'm not necessarily sure how to rationalize that with the stock. But I am definitely interested to see how the report goes. That's for sure. Carmen also mentions, good mention, Carmen, also mentioning CLSK has earnings in 3 days as well. So we're going to get a couple of Bitcoin names here this week.
EBS starting to come back in. It's testing VWAP right now.
Another potential bounce here. 13, I'm going to run to the washroom real quick. BRB?
Sounds good. All right. So, Rustam, you're still looking at Nuvo? And yeah, this thing is still ripping. I don't even know what this company does. With pharmaceutical company, women's health, pregnancy care. Okay. What else are we looking at, folks? Coin. What did Coin do? Having a nice 5% rip this morning. Who's in Coin this morning? Looks like on the daily chart, Coin is right up against its 50-day SMA. Trying to see if it can push over that. If not, then the 20-day SMA, which is moved through this support, I have 227.66. Really nice that we've 2x'd this year on this one. Yeah, he certainly did. When you got to go, Pat. SoFi, VWAP test. Let's take a look here. Been kind of sideways for since March. We've got some up and down. We had some remember we had some news on that popped it up to almost 8 and then we came back in. Not sure about this one. I don't know if I like the way the chart looks.
Which one?
This is SoFi. I'd look for support at 640 if we can't retake the 50 or the 200. If we start breaking down from about this price, I'd be looking at 640 for support.
Okay, SoFi looks like it's trying to bounce here at the VWAP. By the way, speaking of some more VWAP moves, ARM came into the VWAP. So far is riding that, not breaking down here, but not bouncing yet. So we'll see here on ARM. Mara, by the way, looks like it's taking the next leg up. New highs just now there on Mara. We'll see if it ends up breaking that 20 handle. And then as far as Palantir, this one also kind of coming back into the VWAP, not breaking down. So that's good to see. We'll see if we get another move here on Palantir to the upside. Looking across the scanner here, I noticed that Celsius here, Cell H, appearing on my relative volume scanner. This is actually a dip that got bought right out of the open here. EBS, this is another one we're waiting for at the VWAP. Looks like this cracked the VWAP. Let's see if this reclaims it, or if this ends up starting to break. If this starts to break down from here. The coffee, see, the coffee started to get my tongue there a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I like it when coffee just kind of like makes your brain work faster than you're physically able to.
Oh, yeah.
If you've ever had your coffee make your brain work faster than the rest of your body.
Giving me ideas live here. Actually, Jay, I wanted to ask you a question. Jay Rice. When you play golf, do you drink coffee during or before? Do you find that the caffeine messes with your swing at all? Just curious. I actually had coffee right before my last golf round, and I felt like I played pretty well. I normally don't do that, so just wondering. Anyway, that's just as kind of an aside. Looks like EBS continuing to crack down through the VWAP here. So it looks like that's breaking some support. STFU looks like, are you looking at this for a potential bounce, or might this be done? One of the other stocks that I wanted to mention here real quick is going to be EYPT. We had talked about this one a long time ago, and we were talking about this in a single digits. Now, since then, this thing actually ran to, I believe, 30 plus. Now, it's really kind of come in here on some news. And what I'm wondering here is, might this be buyable, or might we be able to find levels for a buyable swing trade here on EYPT? So let me go ahead and throw pro up here. The catalyst that we have here, EYPT is down 35.5%. So I'm not trying to polish a turd here, if you will, but I am trying to see if there's a potential bounce spot in here. iPoint Pharmaceutical shares trading lower after company's phase 2 Pavia trial of this drug I can't pronounce did not meet its primary specified. What is it? Duravyu. Thank you. It did not meet its primary specified, or its pre-specified primary endpoint. So what do you think here, 13? Any of these biotechs or any of these medical things that end up having this bad news, we always kind of break this down as a group. What are you thinking here?
I think I need to talk to Zoltan a little bit more on this one. I don't know if this is the drug that we're waiting for to have, that's been really driving this company lately. Because if it is, having the phase 2 not meet their endpoints, I'd be curious as to what the next step is, because I don't want this development to get halted in its tracks. That could be very bad for this company. Okay. So I think we need a little bit more research and discussion on this one, because if that is the drug that we're concerned about, then this move is warranted, and it might even end up going lower.
And so that really good stuff there, 13. And I agree. We will ask Zoltan. He's super sharp with his due diligence. Here's one of the reasons why I was asking. With this gap down, we actually took out one of the support levels, and now we're kind of in no man's land from this initial gap up where we moved from a 7 handle to almost 20. And so I'm wondering here, for a trading purpose, do we fill this gap to the downside? We've kind of got the down momentum. We are minus 35% here today. So I wonder at some point how exhausted the sellers are. Do we move and fill the gap down, or do we move and fill the gap up? That's kind of what I'm trying to figure out here for a potential trade. But your point is well taken here about doing some more due diligence on the drug. We'll have to start that probably today.
The 500-day SMA is at 1040. I'm sorry. It says here it's at 1038. I'll say it's 1040. 1040 seems to be a pretty important level, because if you draw a line across there, you can see from April 21st last year, we had a pop up to right about up to that level.
Yep.
Back in.
So right in here. Good call.
So I think 1040 might be a good spot to consider for a bounce. And if we don't, then yeah, I would say that we probably end up filling that gap.
And you know what? If we continue to trade down here and then maybe hold above this line, I would be interested in this for a swing. I say that now. That's pending the result of some more research, but really good stuff there. Okay, let me move back here to trade the pool. Jay's was saying, can you repeat that? Yeah, I was basically asking if drinking coffee helped you at all. I noticed it helped me. Your answer here is priceless. Vodka helps better. We call vodka aiming fluid. I'm going to have to reuse this. This is quite good, Jay. Appreciate that. Definitely appreciate that. That's really funny stuff. Okay.
That's what stormtroopers drink.
What?
That's what stormtroopers drink.
That's what. Okay. I know Saturday was Star Wars Day. For May the 4th be with you.
That's
but
right.
That joke was crispy. Okay, let's get back here to the market. Looks like Tesla is still on its down move, although it is kind of slowing up there. Good morning. Stay focused. Stay focused here saying, I hope you guys had a great weekend. Good morning. We did. Hopefully you did as well. And actually having a good morning here so far. So I know I'm going to get ahead of it. I know you always ask us, what are we trading here? I'm actually long Palantir last week into the earnings print here for a potential swing. I'll probably lighten this since the move has worked out. I'll probably lighten this into the print so that I don't put it all at risk, but that's cooking here. No day trades yet. I was a little slow on some of my entries on these junkier names. And one of the things that I've learned recently is that if your entry isn't good, you are opening yourself up to possible pain. So I've been pretty disciplined with that. We had Matt Malley come on, which was just absolutely awesome. Covered pretty much everything here on the market. And one of the things that we were discussing, Stay Focused, is, were there any takeaways from Berkshire Hathaway's investor conference over the weekend? So good morning. Let me know what you're seeing here today and what you're trading.
Yep. It's been a good morning. So waiting for some things to pan out here. Looking for this. I'm in this move for SGE, doing pretty well. Bounce off that VWAP. The other things I traded this morning, I had a position in Lilium, LILM. I'll discuss that with you later in happy hour. That was a lottery ticket play, and also PLTR. Not a whole lot of other trades though, but SGE. I know there's one other one I traded today too. Just can't remember which one it was, but anyway, that's all I've done today.
Nuvo, that was another one that was really kind of running. TCBP was running, but those were all kind of junky.
I was just responding to somebody who was asking about that.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay, here we go with SGE. This is the moves I've been looking for. All right.
DraftKings curling back up, by the way. DraftKings strong here. SGE is bouncing off that VWAP here, 13. Fastly, we talked about this last week, the petition to turn this into slowly. Fastly looks like maybe this is kind of coming up off the bottom. Looks like it did kind of trade sideways here. 850, decent level of support there. We'll see if this can actually get back and kind of close that gap. If this shows that it's going to have some strength to fill that gap from the earnings to the upside, I'd be interested in this for a swing, but I don't feel good about that yet. What's up?
I'm just all out of SGE. I don't know if it breaks through these walls that it's got here at 280, but I really just wanted to capture a good move off of VWAP. I did that. I'm out. I'm done.
Okay.
It can do whatever it wants. It can do whatever it wants. It can go to 318 and rip all at once. I got what I want out of this. I'm moving on.
Really good stuff there.
Bitcoin coming in after let's see, how high did I get up to? I got up to a little bit over $64,000. I'm not sure what we're going to get out of this today. Maybe if I'll tell you what, if it can come back down to it already did, but if it can hold this 63,750 area, I'd say that if we return back up to the area where it got rejected, we could see an intraday head and shoulders breakout up to 65,000. Inverse head and shoulders.
Microsoft popping here. I'm seeing some news here from the information. Microsoft readies new AI model to compete with Google and OpenAI. So I'm seeing that piece of news here. Microsoft popping a little bit. Looks like 408.50 stopped it here. Stay Focused saying it is so funny how far ahead our happy hour group is. We are making great calls as a group, which is turning into nice profit for the whole crew. You're exactly right. Stay focused. And again, this is the entire genesis of this idea. This is exactly what we wanted. And it could not happen without all of the participants. There's no way I could have done this. It is completely reliant on the people that show up there. And it just makes me so proud to hear that and to hear people validate that. I'm staying focused on the Mag 7s, doing some tape reading here. Okay. That's a good way to keep yourself safe there. Tesla maybe hunting for some new lows here.
Yeah, the ones that are down today, Mag 7s, are not down by much. You have Apple, Amazon, and Google all down by just under 0.5%.
FRPT looks like this is kind of coiling right here under its VWAP on FRPT. Now remember, FRPT here is Freshpet. They reported earnings this morning that popped them here.
Is Netflix up? I haven't looked at the news, but are they up because they had a Netflix special with Tom Brady? It was like a roast. And it's getting headlines now.
That is a great point. I didn't watch that. I don't have Netflix. I know it's hard to believe. Take your jokes at me. A couple of my friends did say that the roast was starting, and I was like, oh, that's a pretty good idea. I don't see any news here. So I'll be honest, 13. I mean, with lack of a better catalyst, I would say that's absolutely possible here on Netflix. You can see this has been a slow grind higher here. Volume very much in line with its average. Or at least with its recent day here, but that's a good point. I wonder.
Yeah, because I saw it was one of the top headlines this morning in the news feed that I get, not on Benzinga Pro, but just in the other sources that I have. And I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe that's something I'll have to watch. The roasts are great. They when they do those, they're absolutely hilarious. So I'll probably catch that later, especially since it's Tom Brady. I can't imagine saying about it, but. Anyway, I'll check that out later, but I don't think there's anything else to drive Netflix up like it's been moving.
So here we go. So real quick, Jay is saying, I don't think so. It's just filling a gap. Earnings were good, but it was up a lot. Now, Ian here from Twitter, love our Twitter viewers here. Awesome. Welcome, Ian. Happy Monday. Might be the new streaming service. I don't think I am familiar. I am not a Netflix follower, and I got to do a better job of here. Let me know what that is, though.
Yeah, I just felt like the coverage, like the news headlines mentioning Netflix, kind of helped drove the stock up a bit. That's a bit. That gap fill that I'm looking at daily chart, I absolutely see that. And here's the interesting thing: that gap fills all the way up, almost exactly to where the 50-day SMA is. So that'd be a really interesting resistance level. How about that? We fill a gap in reverse. Not to mention the 50 days right there. That'd be a great technical move. I've
got that at 602.20 on that 50-day. That is lining up pretty nicely there. Good David, as if he's teasing us. Mullen New Hod. Oh, I have to type the ticker in correctly for it to display. That's step number one. Helps. Mullen New Hod here on some more volume. Hey, look, if you guys are making money off of this, God bless you. Giddy up. This is something that I am going to stay away from here. But good stuff here.
Yeah, what is this agreement anyway? The National Auto Fleet Group. I don't know. I'd have to read more into this. I don't know how much they're getting out of this, but that seems like a pretty good piece of news. I just don't know what the particulars are of it.
Jay's Life. I think you mentioned CGC earlier, or somebody did. Apologize if I'm getting the name wrong. This thing has been kind of wild. This is the first time I've really kind of brought it up. Looks like we're bouncing here between 1080 and 1030 on CGC. This thing, multiple moves in both directions here.
That's the kind of stuff you want to see for trading.
Oh yeah,
that looks great.
Especially if you're able to follow this. Oh yeah, you're able to make sense of that. Yes. Charlie Squawking Mullen. Hey, look, Charlie has been doing this for a long time. Charlie will call the things that are moving, and clearly today is a day where Mullen is in focus for traders. So I'm not going to argue with him. Look, and here's the other thing. My personal feeling on this stock should not affect any one of you. I will try to pass on what I've learned here, but my personal opinion should not affect any of your trading on any of these names, Mullen or otherwise.
Oh, there was one.
Sound. Oh my gosh. Neil, great mention here. So Sound, this first move up here really did kind of trade sideways and flag here. I guess it did test the VWAP here, but man, big stick up here through 5. SOUN looks like it's continuing here. Oh, now I understand why. Jay's live. I'm getting in on sound. So Jay, it looks like you moved the entire market here on sound. I'm just kidding around, but really good stuff here. Nice little pop there. SOUN. XBP back to its VWAP. This thing has kind of been a dog since the open here. Now, remember the last time we tested the VWAP, we really weren't able to get through that. Let's see if it's got the strength on the second attempt here.
MACD does look pretty good on XBP. Same thing with ALLR. That thing is trying to curl around too. I just had a bit of a pull here, so maybe not. But this ALLR was also trying to find a bottom and return a VWAP. So there might be a future trade in there later today.
OM back to the VWAP here.
Yeah. If you're willing to do it, you know, Smoketon, if you're willing to do it.
Microsoft kind of holding in here. VIX really hasn't moved a whole lot. Tesla, maybe Tesla's bouncing here off that level. What was that? 184? 184-ish?
Seen AMC pop up in the feed several times this morning.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah. Okay. So this thing, you know, went straight to hell and now it's rising from the dead.
Looks like it's going to try to go red-green here on AMC.
Yeah. It looks like, we'll call it 325. That's the level to start closing over on some smaller time frames. EBS pushing up, trying to make, well, not make new day highs, but trying to push up towards the intraday high of 447.
Purgatory Park mentioning that GME also. Now, GME, this actually did have a wild day here. Nice little move up, multi-dollar move up, and a complete round trip back to the pre-market lows. Now, what I will say here is that so far, so good. It is holding those lows here. It's given up 15 a few times here today, but it looks like it's trying to bounce off that. AMC and GME moving on the same day wouldn't be the first time that we've seen this. Generally speaking, though, I'll stay away from these.
What does that mean? What is it? So what is Reddit doing then? Oh, interesting.
What's Reddit doing? I got to think. Oh, interesting. Reddit also. You know what, 13? That is. You're having. Well, no, you're making me. I like that because you're making me think. We're looking at some names that are moving. You're thinking, what else could be related to this? Reddit definitely kind of fits the bill here. I still maintain I like Reddit lower, but we're not going to get in the way of any of this momentum here.
Here's the real funny thing. Of all those meme stocks, what were the top three, and which ones are moving? GME, AMC, and what was the other one? The top three meme stocks.
GME, Reddit, GME.
No, Reddit wasn't a thing. Reddit wasn't a thing back when the meme stock
was that. Was that COS or
COS was one of them, but it wasn't as prominent as the other one that's moving today. And we already talked about it.
Carvana.
BlackBerry.
Oh, BlackBerry. Oh, yeah. It would have taken me a while to get that one.
BlackBerry is one of the other movies that moved with those.
That's right. I always forget that. I always forget that. Carvana here. Speaking of Carvana, 129.
And all these other tickers in the chat, folks, you aren't wrong. Those moved around that
yeah, BBBY. Yeah, I do remember that. NOK is another good mention here. We did see that one move as well. That's weird. BlackBerry. Yeah, you guys got it. Okay. Cost, Jay said. That's what I thought too.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
That's well said, actually. Well said.
I like that. That's funny. EVS, it's still trying to push up some more. It's been doing pretty well since it found a bottom around VWAP.
Kodak, KODK, that was another one that was doing it during that. Yeah, there's a whole list of those names there.
The thing with Kodak was that would just run whenever Trump came on and started talking. So I guess that was kind of a meme stock. It didn't run with those other meme stocks. It was just like mostly a Trump stock.
Yeah, speaking of which, DJT dip was bought. Cattle here, this one a little bit better though. This actually rising here. Volume starting to expand to give us those bigger moves here. This kind of has been real good here today on cattle. Let me get the other chart up here because we talked about this one earlier in terms of testing that high that it made the last time this really came on our radar. Let's take a look here. We're almost there here, folks. Cattle, that was 1137. Here we are, 1075 here. Look at this move.
Oh,
off
wow,
this
that thing is
man
moving.
Candle. This was a wild one. I would not have guessed that. So many of these smaller stocks that we see, they end up not doing this. This is actually the rarity. So don't be fooled here. But if you find a way to kind of capture these or stay in these or play these, giddy up. This is looking pretty good.
XBP. I mean, this is just a really nice lesson in watching the price go back up to VWAP and get rejected.
Sydney, sorry for interrupting you there. I look at cattle. They have an upcoming presentation in Chicago. Thank you, Sydney. I wonder where that is. Here, is this it? Cancer data? At the upcoming 2024 American Society of ASCO annual meeting. Is this the one in Chicago? Yeah. May 31st to June 4th, Chicago, Illinois.
So that'd be after the earnings.
Yeah. And to borrow a line from The Fugitive, I bet they line up to see this one.
Okay, so if their earnings pulls this down, is that the opportunity we need to get into this?
Well, I wonder what they're going to present at that conference. I mean, I wonder how that's going to move it, I should say. I would imagine that they try to present some good news. Cattle, this has been a great move so far. Let me go back to trade the pool.
AGBA pushed through VWAP. It's returning. Look for $4.
That's at McCormick Place. Okay. Yeah. See, Sam, I am too. I'm super leery on these small crappers. I see what you did there. So I like day trading them, but I don't necessarily like holding them because I've woken up the next day to see too many of them down 20%. And it's just like, that kind of sucks. That was an expensive night's sleep. Oh, you know what? STFU, I could probably, if I really thought about it, I could probably do maybe 80% of all of the dialogue in Fugitive just from memory. The movie's so good. Shot in Chicago. I've watched that movie 1,000 times. Do
your best impression of Tommy Lee Jones in the dam tunnel.
What do you, I mean?
Right before Harrison Ford jumps. I don't care.
That was okay.
That was my favorite line.
That was actually pretty good.
I didn't tell my wife. I don't care.
Jay Rice, Palantir, do you know, Ryan, the IV on your earnings will get crushed after a report? I'd trim or at least turn them into a spread. Yeah, definitely. The plan here with this move here today is to definitely trim into the print. I'm thinking that I'll trim more than half because my gain is so good. I'll book gains just to make sure that even if the call or if the holded, even if the calls that I hold, why is that so difficult for me to say? Even if the calls that I hold end up going to zero, I'll already have gains booked. That's the strategy here with the trade on the IV crush that you're talking about.
You just reminded me to drink some more coffee.
Okay, I'm out. I am continuing to stare at an empty cup here. It's making me sad. Empty cup. But I do have my Stanley Cup knockoff that I'm rolling with.
Nice. LLR. I know people aren't trading this one. I still think this might come back up to VWAP if anybody's looking for something to trade. Just be careful with it. TCBP, that one's coming down to the 65 EMA. I think we probably might find a bottom somewhere around 185, and if not, then it's going to be 165. AGBA moving up. What else are we looking at, folks? Yeah, that's a great one too.
Yeah, I will say I love seeing all of the love for The Fugitive in here. Stay Focused saying it's one of the best movies of all time. I agree. I don't really think that's a controversial take. Neville's screaming about a man and being in his house. Look out. We don't want to have a repeat of The Fugitive in there. I love it. I love movie quotes. I love some of those really, really good movies from the 90s.
How did you like the U.S. Marshals one, the follow-up?
You know what? That's funny that you mentioned that. I like it. I love Tommy Lee Jones in anything. I mean, give me Tommy Lee Jones in Under Siege. I don't care. I like Tommy Lee Jones as an actor. Men in Black movies are great. But U.S. Marshals is really good. Wesley Snipes, that one's also pretty quotable. I like it. I know it's not as good. Yeah.
You don't get that too many times. Robert Downey Jr.
Okay. Let me flip back over the scan. See, now I'm starting to get we get close to Trader Bacon time. Now we're quoting Fugitive, and my mind starts to wander. I gotta pull this back in. Ooh, Rail Vision. Now you want to talk about an ex-girlfriend here? What's Rail Vision doing? Oh, okay, it just looks kind of flat here.
let her know that.
Don't bust throw me 13. Wiz saying here, Ryan, did you watch the road to Tom Brady last night? No, 13 and I were just talking about that. We were wondering if maybe that's the impetus for the move here on Netflix this morning, which is trading up here 2%. How was it? What did you think of it? Because I do kind of want to see this, honestly. I'll find a way to watch it.
And this is what I'm talking about. See how even we're getting discussions about that. That was the Netflix special. So that's why I was like,
yeah.
Oh, maybe it's up on that because it's been buzzing. It's getting a lot of coverage.
JagX, several of you guys have mentioned this the past several days. This is a penny stock that has run recently. Looks like it's gearing here today. I'm staying away from this, but I'll mention it since several of you are looking at it.
Smoke Tuna mentioning Upload or UPLD. I don't know if that's a company name or not, but I thought he may have mentioned this earlier. It's Upland. Somebody was mentioning this earlier in the morning. Don't remember who it was. If it was you, sorry, I couldn't remember. But yeah, this one looks like it's trying to set up to go higher to break over 330.
We'll see here. It was good. Ben Affleck was awkward. I mean, isn't that like if the sun comes up? I feel like Ben Affleck is awkward quite a lot. But I'll check it out. SGE making another move for those highs here, intraday highs. We took a look at that earlier here on SGE.
Yeah. This one wasn't trying to get back over 3.
Yeah, and looks like it's doing it right here now.
318 was the intraday high. It's got a pretty good wall there at 302 and 315. Root for the first time in a while isn't choosing a direction.
It's kind of just sitting there. This is not normal for Root. It's normally moving in one direction or another.
Did all those traders in Root find something else better? And if so, what is it?
STFU saying watch EBS. This is one we've been watching for the past couple of sessions here. It's going to short down to 420. It's going to trade down to 420 and then go back up to 443 again. Very specific. This will be awesome if it happens. If it can make it above 443, 476 is the high from Thursday. So giving you a trade plan here before it happens on EBS, much appreciated on that one.
He's 25 cents away from that. It popped just now, EBS, and it's looking like it's trying to get through this 450 area where there's a bunch of sellers.
Yeah, Lynn bringing up a really good point here. We actually talked a little bit about Starbucks last week here. We talked about this on the happy hour as well. Starbucks, of course, reported earnings last week. They were poor. I think one of the things that we had discussed here is that the market in China really, really soft. That contributed to this. Lynn mentioning that saw the former CEO Howard Schultz. By the way, his son Jordan Schultz is awesome on Fox Sports 1 if you ever want to check that out. But Howard Schultz here, former Starbucks CEO, chiming in saying changes are needed after bad earnings. Summary of those changes is he basically said that the customer experience needs to be improved. And that's fairly vague. That can mean quite a bit. So I think, there could be a number of changes that are going to be discussed that fit under that umbrella. But the point here is that, Howard Schultz did an amazing job with Starbucks, and he's recognizing there are definitely some problems going on there. I would agree with him. I'm not sure what the right answer is here. But I'll be honest right now, I'm not necessarily interested in Starbucks. Let this thing bottom out. I'd really like to see a flush on this and then maybe some changes at the company. And I think that might actually be a decent long-term swing. But until those changes happen, I'm not necessarily interested yet.
How much more can you squeeze out of the customer experience at a coffee shop? Is what I'm wondering. Like, what are they going to start doing bartender tricks while they make their coffee? I don't understand what they need to improve in the customer experience side. How much more can they get out of what they're already doing?
Well, see, that's kind of what I'm saying here. That this is kind of vague, right? Like you could have some people that argue that the company is too politically involved, which I could see. I'm not sure if that's really contributing to this. You could argue that the customer experience is hampered because of the prices of different things. You could argue that maybe the inside of the restaurant isn't warming and conducive like it used to be. I mean, the only point of me bringing this up here is that this is pretty vague and a lot of stuff fits under this umbrella. So some things to watch here on Starbucks are going to be what kind of things are changing there and how does that impact the customer experience? Because 13, to your point, I'm not sure what else you can do. I mean, Starbucks has tried kind of a lot of things. And if you're talking about squeezing more money out of a customer that's tightening, I don't know how successful you're going to be with that. Yeah, Robert, this is generally speaking, this is how I think too. Robert mentioning here, the problem with Starbucks is that their coffee tastes burnt. That's why I stopped going there. So I feel the same way. I feel like they over roast their beans, but I struggle to use that as like an indicator of what's going on, because that can be subjective. I mean, I talk to people on a daily basis that swear by their Starbucks coffee and don't really like Nespresso, which is what I drink. Generally speaking, they like Pete's, but they don't, they're addicted to Starbucks coffee. So I try to put my own opinion out of this, but I agree. I have the same opinion that you do. I don't care for their coffee all that much.
Roman Sanchez appears to have it dialed in here. He says they're going to open their late night shift, expanding their market share significantly. And they've been testing the late night shift. So, okay. Well, hey, that's great information, because I didn't know that they really had a lot of people coming in going, hey, why are you guys not, selling coffee at the wee hours of the morning or late night when I have to do all my studying? I don't know. That's a great point, though. I appreciate that information, though.
No, and I think that there's probably a market for overnight workers that might be able to kind of tap into that. I don't know how big that market is, though.
Well, it might be pretty big if there's a $20 an hour check to come with it.
Yeah, that's true. S-Buck CEO not doing a good job. That is the bottom line, indeed. And when the former CEO is calling for some changes there, that makes a lot of sense to me.
$12 for a week's worth of Folgers.
Ryan, you like your Nespresso. First of all, Born, great to see you here this morning. I'm not sure if I said good morning to you, and I apologize if I missed you. Good morning. Yes, I love it. I actually have both machines. I have the original and the Virtuo one or whatever. I prefer the original, but I like the assortment of flavors without having to add cream or sugar. I love the taste of coffee. So trying different coffees from different regions of the world is like awesome to me.
We might get a move here in UPLD that folks were mentioning earlier. It's the formation looks pretty good, and it's starting to move up some more.
This was UPLD, you said?
Yeah, just everybody was, some other folks were mentioning that this could make a move. I'm also thinking this might do something here if we can get some volume expansion.
OM, this is Becca's OM from earlier. This might be making a move too. Looks like this is curling. We'll see if this reclaims the VWAP. I'm sorry, 13. I thought you might have been done there. Here is UPLD if you had more on that.
No, I'm just looking to see if we get the volume expansion, then we're going up to 330. And there we go. Just like that, it starts going. All right, well, there's that.
Right there. Nice job, 13. You popped this thing right to the highs there. Smash up the like for my man, 13, who seems to be able to move stocks simply by talking about them.
No, that's not what happened here. Don't you dare put that on me.
Okay, folks, we got just a couple of minutes left here. It has been a great Monday. I'm sorry I wasn't active on a whole bunch of day trades today. If you want a secret, that's probably why I'm still really happy here today. Because I just prefer to swing, and my swing trade positions from last week have been really doing well here today. Been a really good start to the week. We do have Trader Bacon coming up next. You folks don't need to do anything. I'll automatically send you over there. But I did want to mention here, definitely smash up the like for my man 13. We talk all the time about how we can make these things better. I will sometimes discuss with other people here how we can make things better, and just really appreciate everyone's dedication and everyone's contributions here. So definitely hit the like. It's an easy way to support us. We appreciate each and every one of you. Hopefully you folks had just as good of a morning.
It's been fun.
It has been fun. Jay's Life, monster day here today. Take that positive momentum and roll it. Roll it forward. Ryan, if you like coffee, you should try some geisha coffee from Panama. I will do that. I don't think I've had that before, but I would be interested in that. Bitcoin rolling over here. How's that actually affecting those miners? Because that price is at a low here for the day. Miners Mara at least doesn't care at all. That is still holding its highs. CLSK, same thing. Let's check on Riot as well. Riot's kind of come back in a little bit. For the most part, these things really kind of holding their highs here. That's looking pretty good. Quick check-in on the market. SPY holding higher here. NASDAQ didn't break down. Dow kind of holding in. Everything seems to be kind of holding in here for today.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what we have coming up in terms of economic reports. Let me look at the calendar here and see what's going on.
Yeah, I was just thinking I might do the same thing here. Let me check for today. Real quick, and actually, I can actually put this up here.
I bet it's going to be the Fed members talking. We have Barkin and Williams speaking later today. That might be what they're waiting for to see if they're going to pull the market down or not. So that could be one thing.
Okay.
And that's today. Tomorrow, not really seeing anything in U.S. Tomorrow. But I think that the Fed's members talking might be the big reason the market's slowing down, waiting for that information. Crude production and energy reports, mortgage reports later this week. There's of course, jobless claims.
Okay. That is it. It is 11 o'clock here. Awesome stuff. Great job here, 13. And thanks everyone for joining us. I'm going to send you over to Trader Bacon. Great start to the week. We'll be right back at this again tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Stay green. Stay safe.